Hey guys, welcome back. Thank you for joining me on another episode of the Spicy Pecan Podcast. I can't believe you came back. No. Guys, I want to thank you again for all the support with the show. We are growing. I'm super excited. This episode, we have a very special guest, one of my family members, my cousin named Lizzie. She's one of those people that I follow on social media. She has an interesting take on, political topics that are going on, the election that's going on. She's one of those people that, kind of turns it into a joke, but drops a gem as well. So definitely wanted to get her take on the election and everything that's been happening in terms of, um, just the political landscape. So we'll be hearing from her very soon. Listen, today is my brother's birthday. Give him a special shout out. Hey, Marcel, I love you. Happy birthday, baby. What else is going on? Quickly, I quickly wanted to get into a couple of things. Um, Rappers have been in the headlines like crazy these past couple of weeks. We saw the stuff with Lil Wayne, endorsing Trump. A lot of people were pissed off about that. I wasn't pissed off, more so annoyed. The thing about Lil Wayne is he has purposely stayed out of politics and has told us as much. When he was asked about the Black Lives Matter movement a couple of years back, he basically, scoffed and said, well, my Black life matters, so I don't know what the F that means. Definitely was not woke in any way about the issues when he was questioned and they persistently asked him, how he feels about different political topics. He did not really want to get into it. So that's not someone that I would be looking to as a source of information for, political information. 50 Cent was also in the news in regards to endorsing Trump. And this is another thing that we have to realize. These celebrities, just like Trump, they use social media to their advantage, obviously, money. So the gag is, if I can get enough people upset, I got eyes on me. So it doesn't matter. I don't care what kind of attention I get as long as I get the attention. So there are a lot of celebrities who kind of follow this trolling pattern, 50 Cent definitely being one of them. And, again, just another thing for you to see certain people. It's like you show your cards. Now I know who you are. So moving forward, I know what not to listen to you. I know when to listen to you and when not to listen to you. Celebrities who are doing some cool things using their platforms for good reason. Killer Mike. I think I've talked about Killer Mike, before on the show. If I haven't, damn. I am a huge fan of Killer Mike. He is always doing everything that he can to educate specifically black people, but also brown people. He just started a bank, or it's not his bank, but he basically started this in partnership with other people. It's called Greenwood Bank. I am on the waiting list for my account. Apparently, the app has basically blown up. So there's maybe about 100,000 people ahead of me in terms of the list. But basically, what he's doing is, we know that in black and brown communities, banks don't traditionally loan us money. So when we have great ideas to start businesses, inventions, things like that, we're not the people who usually get funded. So having our footing in the banking industry is so important. So if you know anything about like credit unions and things like that, you know that your credit union you get through some type of association, like you're a part of a church or a nonprofit, or you have an association through your job to get a credit union account. And those accounts, they're going to build, you can build a relationship with them. It's run more like small business. So when you do want to buy the house, when you do need another car, when you do want to start another business, they're going to look at you in a different way than the bigger traditional banks would. And there's a whole bunch of research about the disparities in the banking industry. We're not even, Latinos and black people are not even really represented as much as we should be in those industries. So anyway, Greenwood Bank is kind of like a credit union model. So you would go to them, you establish yourself as a customer, and then when you want to buy the house, when you want to start a business, they would look at you in the same way that a credit union would, a little more favorably, a little more lenient. So I just wanted to give that little plug. I know there's still a lot of us who don't even really bank like that. We're cashing our checks and getting, cashing our checks. Um, that's just not the way to do it at all. First of all, check cashing places are predatory and you only find them in certain neighborhoods. Which ones? So you should not, after having worked 40, 80 hours, and after having already having them take the taxes out before you can even touch your money, do you really want to give somebody else another piece of the hard work that you've been doing? Hell no. We don't think about it. We don't think about the fact that, oh, I just got this routine. I get my check on Friday. I go to the check cashing spot because I don't want to get a bank, or I don't get a bank account. Get a bank account. Start a savings account. Without a bank account, it is very hard to do anything or get ahead. For people who, and I didn't mean to get too long-winded with this, but for people who find that they are borrowing money, you know, every other month or every month, you might be literally borrowing money from people every single month. That is because you don't have the ability to save, or you're not looking at your savings in an aggressive way. I can tell you, I got like such a joy in my heart this morning. I got an email that said, your savings account with us has increased by 30% over the last, I can't remember exactly what the time frame, maybe it was a quarter or something like that. That is progress. That means that when an emergency happens, if my tire goes, if the car needs some type of repair, if I have to, whatever the case, I need an outfit for something, I've got it. It gives you that little bit of room that you need. So whether you start with $10, $20, $50, your ability to save is power. If you do nothing else, figure out an aggressive plan with your finances. Do you know where you're spending all your money? If you coming into a situation where every 2 weeks that you get paid, it's like you're dying for that next paycheck because you don't even have $150, $20 in your bank account to kind of smooth that, get you through. That's because you're not taking $5, $10, $20, putting it aside and not thinking about it. That's my big spiel about that, spiel. I didn't want to get too much into that, but that is one of the things that I'm very passionate about, saving, because saving is absolutely, it's freedom. It is. It gives you the ability to do things that you normally wouldn't. If you want to do that vacation and things like that, you saved your way to it. It's one of your goals. So anyway, I know a bunch of people have been talking about Ice Cube and his contract with Black America, and a lot of people have criticisms about it. A lot of people. But a lot of people have not read it. So again, I'm going to suggest to you guys, before we criticize what people are doing and saying, before we criticize politicians and, share information on social media, do a little research. Read the plan and push it. Push it. Should we not have an agenda? I mean, Diddy's talking about a black party, a black and brown party. Um, are these the type of things we need? Why do we have more choices in everything on this planet but political parties? In the conversation that you're gonna see with my cousin, I personally don't consider myself a Republican or a Democrat because I just don't fall in line with every single thing with either party. And I think that's okay. And I think we're coming into a place in this country where these two old giant gangs just don't cut it for me. And I know a lot of you guys are pretty much feeling the same way. It's like, I just don't agree with all of what these people are saying or all of what these people are saying at all. Um, but I absolutely think that it's super important that people like Cube get out in front of something like this. I mean, coming from somebody who's been saying F the police for 30 years, has been on the front lines, you think it's easy for a celebrity to say F the police on a national stage? You think he wasn't tried a million times? This guy has put in work for black people. All of his movies, all black cast, directors, producers, music, all that stuff. He has done a lot. So read the damn plan before you start criticizing what the man is doing. It's easy for you to say F the police on your social media or my social media. I mean, who's really is Oprah going to see that? Is the world going to see that? No. I mean, does that really put me at complete danger? Not necessarily, maybe a little bit. But for a celebrity to say it on a grand stage back in the 80s and 90s, put some respect on Cube's name. Y'all gonna put some respect on Cube's name. Um, but so, very tight election. It's been crazy, crazy. I hope you guys are not watching the news all day. And I hope that, you guys are taking a little time for yourself and just rejuvenating, and remember that regardless of whoever wins this race, you still have your own race to run. There are still things in your life that you can accomplish. You can still make things good for people in your neighborhood. You can still make sure that your community is ready for whatever situation is coming. You can be that person for your city, your neighborhood, your community. So, regardless of whether if Trump wins or not, why should that stop you from doing good? Right? All right, cool. So, let's get into the interview. Awesome. Lizzie, thank you so much for joining me this week. So, guys, Lizzie is my cousin, and she is the first person brave enough to get on the Spicy Pecan podcast. Thanks, Liz.
You're welcome.
How you doing today?
Chilling.
Yeah, a lot going on, a lot going on. So, have you been glued to the news today, or have you been kind of like trying to be in and out?
Initially, when I first woke up, first thing I did was like turn on the TV, go through my phone, see what was going on. But as the day, has gone on, I've tried to like just go with the flow and wait to see what's happening.
Yeah, yeah. So far, I think Biden is at around 240.
I think it's like 248.
248, and Trump is what, like 213?
214. Last I checked.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So what are you thinking? You think it's going to be a surprise towards the end, or you think?
I'm trying not to be too anxious and hopeful because anything can happen last minute. Trump's trying to pull some strings there, so we don't know what's going to happen. I would love for it to go our way,
Yeah.
But anything can happen. Anything's possible. So just holding out my excitement, or
yeah, exactly. So would you consider yourself like a Republican or Democrat, or how do you kind of like identify? I know a lot of people are questioning that again, with everything going on.
And so have I. I'm registered as a Democrat, but these past couple of years, I just feel like I don't feel an attachment to any party. I'm more just for humanity. I don't care so much about the political stuff. I know that's probably not the PC thing to say, but like, my thing is, let's all respect one another. Let's do what's right for humanity. And that's just where I'm at. So I don't consider myself a Democrat or Republican or anything.
Yeah, I totally agree. On this show, I basically said Democrat and Republican, it's like two big gangs. And one, I think we need more options.
Absolutely.
Because both of them have done the craziest stuff. So it's not just one or another. But obviously Trump is just a totally different thing. Like, I don't even really consider Trump a Republican, because he doesn't even fall in line with a lot of their, a lot of things that they stand for morally. But all right, fun question. Okay. If you could sum 2020 up in one song or two, what songs would those be?
Um, Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus.
Yes.
And
Yes.
maybe like Thriller from Michael Jackson. It's like this, they're like a bunch of zombies just wandering, waiting for 2020 to end, you know? One
Absolutely.
big long night.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know what? One of the I mean, the Thriller thing actually made me think about it. Do you think that there is going to be a huge outcry from the public, like protests and things like that? Do you think that's something that we still might see?
I believe so because we've seen so much of it. You know, people are tired, people are fed up, and sitting back and being quiet hasn't worked. So, you know, we're frustrated.
Yeah.
So this can turn, and I believe it's going to come from both parties. You know, I hope not. I hope it's, you know, all talk, but it's been crazy. It's been a crazy ride. This political era that we're in right now has just been insane.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, definitely.
I'm expecting
I think a lot
it.
more people are falling in exactly what you said. A lot of people are not really considering themselves Democrat or Republican. It's more like, let me see who's going to be up there and who's actually talking about the issues that I care about. But labeling myself as a Democrat forever or a Republican forever, I just don't recognize, you know, those two
Well,
old
this is the
parties.
thing. We're like spoon fed and it's like shoved down our throats, these two parties. There's other parties, you know, we're just not given that much attention to it because they want us to vote these two parties.
Yeah.
So they won't look at, you know, the Green Party or anything else because the big guys up top, they just want to push Republican Party. You're either a Republican or a Democrat, and no one else matters. You can vote Green, you can vote for whatever else is on that ballot, but at the end of the day, they're only going to push those two.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And they
it's not
only
really
push the presidential election, which the presidential election isn't the end all be all. You know, we're
and
supposed to
that's
be voting every year.
absolutely Congress is the major part of that, and a lot of people don't know that. And if you have the wrong people sitting in Congress, they're actually the ones that say yay or nay to the president. So
Yeah.
if we have the wrong people sitting there, it doesn't matter really who's the president.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Now, are you surprised at how much support Trump actually has gotten? Like, I know me, when I started seeing the numbers, I'm not going to lie, I knew he was going to get a lot of support, but I wasn't expecting a 50-50 almost, you know, like 48, you know, 52, like that. I was not expecting how much.
I think a lot of people weren't expecting it because it's just been madness. He has stirred up so much madness in America, in the United States, that people were like, oh, you know, most people are fed up, but he has such a following, I call it, you know, for lack of a better word.
Yeah,
And
I've seen you use other words.
you know, and they're dedicated. They're dedicated to this man. And they're not even, they keep pushing it's for America, and it's not, it's for their own selfish desires, for their own personal beliefs. It has nothing to do with Americans, because if it was for Americans, it would be about equality, it would be about humanity, you know, and that's not what he pushes. And a lot of people were able to show them true selves through this president. You know, they were able to be like, yeah, well, he's like that, we can show who we really are, and it'll be PC because that's what he promotes.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised. I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah, it has been pretty crazy.
Unfortunately.
What do you think their biggest, like, what are you seeing as far as the things that they say, yes, he's got our back on this? Because every time I question someone who's voting for him, they send me basically to someone else, or they're just like, well, this is what, you know, I don't know, this is what I was told. It's like almost comfortable in that ignorance. Well, I don't know, that's what I was told, but let me tell you something else and you can actually look it up. You know, I've been in these conversations with people and I can't figure out exactly what are the issues. I know the tax thing, but most of the people I'm talking to, they're not making over $400,000 a year.
Exactly.
So what are you really benefiting? I think what you're seeing is where the Obama administration left off, the economy was going up and Trump rode on that wave. That's what I see.
Mm-hmm. I think first of all, I've never gotten same as you. I have never gotten a direct, full blown conversation as to no, he's doing this, he's doing that. Like I have never gotten that either. I feel like they were so upset of Obama winning 2 years in a row, and then Hillary was running, and they were like, "There's no way we're going to allow her because it'll be like having Obama back in office because of her ties with Obama." So they rallied with Trump, and then he's this outspoken, ignorant fool, and they were just like loving it. You know what I mean? So if you ask a Republican, what is it about him that you believe he stands for America, they will never give you a direct answer because there's nothing that they can give you, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, they use the flag or they'll use our, you know, our vest, and he has disrespected, you know,
Absolutely.
veterans. And so I don't get how they connect it. I don't.
And
that's why I don't respect their opinion on it.
Yeah, like waving the Confederate flag next to the American flag, that's traitor behavior.
Right.
Like,
right.
I don't understand how anybody who comes from the military or is in a military family would even be cool with the Confederate flag. Like,
right.
That blows my mind. And then when did like American pride and racism gel
go hand in hand?
Like, I don't remember that ever being cool. We've always known that there were racists, of course, but just so blatantly tying racism to like American pride is like insane. It goes against everything I thought America was.
Absolutely. Well, the thing is, you've heard everyone say that Trump being in the White House gave a lot of people, how do you say that? It just gave them the right to come out and be exactly who they are without being shamed about it, because Trump is, and he's supported by the KKK. And there's so many people in our everyday lives that we have no idea that are a part of the KKK.
Yeah.
That community, they're doctors, they're police officers, they're firemen, they're teachers, they're judges. They're in our communities. They're not wearing the white capes. So we think it disappeared, and it hasn't. They're just more bold about it now.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
That's terrifying, because I think in this moment, it made us all realize, like, damn, we really haven't made a lot of progress. When you can't get people to at least admit this country wouldn't be shit without the slaves and start from there, like, how do you think America got to be as wealthy? It free labor
off the
for
back
hundreds
of slaves.
years, like
off the back of slaves. So it's very disheartening.
Yeah, I was telling someone the other day, I think I might have mentioned it on the podcast, but at one point the White House burned down, like a section of the White House burned down, and slaves rebuilt it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, even the biggest symbol of America, slaves were right in there. You know what I mean? So it's like, there aren't many places in American history that this country, again, I feel like this country is never gonna reach its potential until it does right by the people that it screwed over, which starts off with the Native Americans. I think Obama did more for Native Americans than he probably was able to do for, like, specifically Black people. I know a lot of Black people say Obama didn't do nothing for Black people.
Yeah, I hear that.
We can weigh that. But the original people who were, obviously slaves were oppressed, slaves were brought here. But the people who own this land, those were the people who were done wrong first. And he gave them about like $3 billion. So I think in keeping with that, we should be making some type of retribution. What do you think about reparations? Have you thought about it? Do you think that it's appropriate? How far do you think it should go?
I think that's just a whole nother, I would agree to it. I would think it would be amazing how, I just think that we're so damaged and we're so far beyond like we have so much more immediate things that need to be dealt with right now.
Yeah.
That's something that I don't even think they have time to even consider.
And I personally think a lot of it should come from the private sector, because private business also made millions and millions of dollars off of Black and brown people. But I'm curious because, I don't have kids. Have you been talking to your kids? I'm sure they're watching the news. I'm sure they're hearing little things. Like, what questions do you get from them? They're both teenagers, the ones that are still in the house, and then you have two older that are outside.
My kids are fully aware. We discuss not so much politics, but just like things that are going on in everyday life. We're a Hispanic family living in a predominantly white neighborhood, so they've experienced racism. So they're pretty woke.
Okay.
They know what's right and they know
that.
what's wrong. Yeah, and that's why I think too. I'm so passionate about it, and because it hits home. Because when you are a parent and you have a child that comes home that is hurt, angry, because they've experienced racism, they're told to go back to their country or speak English, and my kids only speak English, so as a parent, when you see that other people are just being passive about it and they're not angry about it, it does something to you as a parent.
Sure.
So, but they're fully aware. They know how to treat people. They know what to say and what's what not to say and what's acceptable. And so they're pretty, they don't have questions, but we do have discussions. Yeah. They tell me how they feel about it,
Yeah. I think it sounds like your main concern is just making sure that they're fair to everybody and kind of like learn from that. Not so much like, all right, well, this is Democratic, this is Republican. And
right.
All that.
No,
yeah.
Right. Just try
that
to
makes
raise them
perfect
to
sense.
Decent human beings.
Right.
Yeah.
I was watching something, and then I also heard there was like a friend or family member that took their kid to a Trump rally. And I just thought that, like, wow, that's really soon to be indoctrinating your kid with the politics aspect. I see the part where it's like, whatever morality you can steal from Trump. I can see somebody, trying to do that. Like, well, this is why, we, whatever, however you would even explain that. But such a political, would you ever take your kids, let's say under the age of 10 to like a political rally?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. I was just curious about that. I try not to really talk about children specifically because I'm not a parent. I just try to be very sensitive. Everybody has their opinion, whether you have kids or not, but I always try to be sensitive of that. So yeah, that's why I wanted to ask you about that. Now, one of the things that I respect a lot about you is not only do you speak up for the things that you believe in, but you also educate. And I don't know if you even realize that, but when you say things on social media, you never just say like, this guy is a jerk. It's always like, because of X, Y, and Z. And did you know in this year? And did you know this? And I know you share a lot of stuff about like Latino heritage and things like that. What are the issues that you're most passionate about?
Equality. That just does something to me. Treating people like they're less than because of their sexual orientation or because of the color of their skin is absolutely, it's just disgusting to me. Actually, there's no other word, that I can dress it up with. It's just pure disgust. No one should ever be discriminated against because of who they love or because their shade of, their complexion is a shade darker than someone else. It's just insane. It's insanity. And I don't know if you've seen the post where I posted a few weeks ago where a law was passed, and I think it was Texas, where social workers were able to discriminate against the LGBT community and the disabled. And that's just disgusting to me because, I'm a social worker, and whoever's in my office and sits in that chair in front of me is getting treated like everyone else. with compassion, with understanding, with care, and I'm going to go the extra mile for whoever is in front of me. So I don't understand. I just don't understand it, and it drives me insane. And as you all see on my social media,
listen, we love it because
I'm pretty vocal.
Sometimes it's just pure funny, and then sometimes it's just like I'm like, damn, I couldn't have even said it better. Like, there's no way I could have said it better.
Yeah, I'm sure some people get offended by it, but sometimes they need to hear the raw truth. They need to see how what they're supporting too and what they believe in, how it's hurtful.
Yeah.
To us, because I'm a brown woman, and so I take that, stuff like that offensive as well. I'm not just looking out, from the outside in. I'm in.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, what about the Latinos that are in? They're in, but it's like it's not. I don't get it.
I feel like some Latinos, Hispanics, are so far removed from our culture, and so they feel as though it's a them problem. That affects them. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect my home. It doesn't affect my family because they're so far removed from it. So we have second and third generations that are from the island who don't really have that connection, don't visit. They're not thinking about our ancestors who are dark skinned, who didn't speak English, who are Tainos, who are Spaniards and African, and we're a melting pot. And I feel like because they've been here in the United States that they don't feel that connection and they're just American. And it's like, no, that's not how DNA works.
Right.
You know what I mean? And our family is so, it's so diverse. We have so many different cultures in our family, and we're
very diverse.
Absolutely. And we're very welcoming people. Like, for the most part, we're very welcoming.
Absolutely.
And so when you grow up in a house, I remember when I was a little girl and I would go to my grandmother's house, my mother's mom. We had our Black families, we had white family, you had a little section of our aunts and our grandmother who spoke only Spanish, and they would sit in the kitchen, they'd do all the cooking, and you had the rest of the family, and listen to all genres of music. And I love that about our family. I love that we grew up in such a diverse family that as we grew up, it wasn't weird or strange, to be around different people, because that's how we grew up. And also, to elaborate on that a little bit, it's kind of disheartening when you see your family stand up for someone who's against what we are and what our family represents. And if something is hurting our African-American brother and sisters, because that's what we are.
Right.
How does that not hurt you? When you see your child or your mother or your family hurt, you hurt with them. And so I feel like the Latino community has benefited so much from the African-Americans suffering and their power, their empowerment, their strength, their fight. And we've benefited from that.
Yeah.
We've let them go up front and do the fighting and do the protesting and do the marching, but they're breaking barriers, not just for the African-American community, but also for Latinos, for the Asians, for anyone who is not, of white descent. We all are benefiting from our African brother and sister struggle. And for us not to stand hand in hand and beside them and feel their pain and hurt and fight along with them, it's sad. And I will never be that one to just sit back and be like, oh, that's them, that's their struggle, because it's our struggle. And we've ridden that wave long enough. We need to stand up and we need to fight alongside with our Black African-American brothers and sisters. It's like, enough is enough.
Yeah. Wow, that's such a powerful way to say it. I don't think that people even think that way. That is an incredible way to think about that. It's true. It's like, even for gay rights, if it wasn't for civil rights, we wouldn't have gay rights. It's like, Black people have fought and died and been on the front lines, and then everybody else, the handicap, just everyone else has benefited from that.
Absolutely.
And you're right.
Absolutely.
It's like,
and we need to acknowledge that.
Yeah. Wow. We
Absolutely.
gotta have you on here more, girl. What? Dang, that was food for thought for me for sure. Um, so let's switch gears a little bit because I know you watch some reality TV, and I definitely wanted to ask you: are you watching The Family Chantel?
Yeah. Shamefully, yes.
Listen, I'm like super addicted to that show now. I binge watch. I think I watched half the season last time it was on. I'm addicted. Are you addicted to that show,
Oh
or is there
yeah.
something?
I
Okay.
love reality TV for some reason. Whatever. I love it.
All
It's
right.
my simple
Listen, sorry
pleasure.
for you guys who aren't watching the show, but I have to ask her what she thinks. So, what do you think about the fact that the older brother brought this girl in, right?
Hmm.
The woman from the Philippines,
Hmm.
and they gave the other guy so much problems.
Yeah.
Do you think that's us having a son versus daughter thing? Do you think that's Latino versus Asian thing? Like, what is that? Because I was watching it today and I'm like, no, for real though, why are they treating it differently? Because it seems like pretty much the same scenario.
Are you talking about Pedro's family or
Yeah.
Chantel?
So, no, Chantel's family treats the oldest brother's new wife or girlfriend way differently than they treated Pedro when he came around.
Um, it could be a few things. It could be, we tend to baby our sons a little bit more.
I see. That's what I think it is. I think it's way
Being
more.
honest.
What is that? Can you explain that to me? Because that was my whole story growing up. Like my mom was expecting me to be on. I mean, and you remember me being little, like I was. I was little
Yeah.
Sandy. Like
Um, I think when you have daughters, because I have three daughters and a son,
Mhm.
I and you want to raise your daughters. First of all, you're very protective, and that's what the kids don't understand. So they're like, "Oh, she's picking." No, I'm just being super protective because I know the world we live in is horrible. So first of all, you're very protective, and you want to just like,
Yeah.
and then you want them to be strong, independent. Like, so you're raising them to be tough because you don't have to worry about that from the boys in your mind as a parent, because naturally in our minds that'll come along because they're men, they're boys, they're males, it'll come.
Right.
But you have to teach, we have it in our mind. You have to teach your daughters to be like strong and independent and look out for this and look out for that. So I think, you know, personally speaking, I look back and I see some things that I've done wrong as a parent. And of course my kids are quick, they're like me. So they're quick to tell me like, no, you were like this with us. And I'm just like, well, it's because, I wanted to protect you, I wanted to mold you, make you
Yeah.
strong. And so,
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't consider it anything wrong. There's no right or way, and
yeah,
the proof is in the pudding. Your kids are amazing. So clearly,
thank you.
clearly something was, and at least for the two older ones, the younger ones, we haven't really seen yet because I haven't seen them on social media like that. But the
Yeah,
two oldest ones are very woke, completely
yeah, yeah,
understand the issues, know exactly how they feel about them, and have no real problems about saying, I either don't care what you think or this is what I think. So
yeah.
definitely, you did good, mom. You all right?
Yeah, thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
cool. So, give the audience a little bit of advice. Like, what have you been watching to distract yourself from all the craziness?
90-Day Fiance and Family Chantel.
90
You
Day
need a little
Fiance. I got to
crazy
get
to go
back
along
on
with the
that.
crazy.
What about,
I think,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just really feel like, and this, we've all had to come to a complete halt, not just with politics, but, we're dealing with COVID, which has been a new thing for all of us as well, along with Trump. And so we all had to like pump our brakes, which it has been bad for the economy, but at the same time, for families, it has been kind of a blessing in disguise because we were able to slow down and have those open conversations more because we're spending more time together and you're cooking more meals and you're not so stressed out with running to work, running because everything came to a halt. So I believe self-care during these times, or just like take that hot bubble bath, you know what I mean? Do a facial and deep condition your hair for 24 hours and don't work. You know what I mean? Like just little things like that, and watch your reality show and just de-stress. Walking, you know, that's the stuff that I'm baking. Those are the things that I've been.
Yeah, you always got something cooking over there, some recipe you're trying or whatever.
Yeah.
Always looking good. Awesome. Well, Lizzie, thank you so much for being on the show. You have an open invitation to come back. And next time we got to talk about fun stuff because, listen, she is hilarious. Okay. She is so funny. But I definitely wanted to pick your brain about the political stuff just because, like I said, every time I see you posting things, you're definitely saying your opinion, but you're also dropping those little nuggets so people can kind of look at something in a different way if they're receptive to trying,
Right.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for having me. This was fun actually, and I enjoyed it. And your questions were amazing actually. And hopefully, even if one person just sees this and it kind of has them thinking a little different, then you've done your job.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially, I mean, there were a couple moments where I feel like you definitely taught me a thing or two, which is hard for an Aquarius to admit. Lizzie's an Aquarius too.
Well, thank you.
All right.
Awesome. But we could all learn from each other because I learn from you guys every day. And when I'm angry at social, things that are going on in the world, I have you on my mind. I have my family that are picked on and the outside world. And when I think of those things, I think of you. I think of my cousins who are African American or who are gay or who, you know what I mean? Yep. And it tugs at me, but yeah.
Aww, thank you.
Learning, yeah. Absolutely.
And just to kind of piggyback off that real quick, our family, when my mom was younger and people who, I've never showed my mom's never been on the show, but my mom is very dark skinned, as you know. And beautiful. This family took my mom in when she was a teenager and didn't even think twice about it. And no one ever acted weird with me or I wasn't enough of this or I wasn't enough of that or anything. And we do pretty much have like the rainbow. So I appreciate that.
I have a story about your mom.
Share.
Because my earliest memories were with cousin Sandra, and she was very inspirational. Your mom, we love her. Yeah. Like she's our cousin's mother. She is our cousin. She is our family, and she was very inspirational. But I know that's another topic, but you came from an amazing woman, and it shows because you're an amazing woman yourself. But yeah, I have a fun story about her when I was little.
Yeah, tell. Let's share it now. Yeah.
You want to hear it now? Well, It's just I always think about this. It was actually a learning moment for me, because she was pregnant with you, and we all lived together. We lived together with your grandparents at that time, and I remember I used to go to school, and my classmates, the African American girls, would have like the cornrows with the beads.
Oh yeah,
I loved it because those beads came in different colors. They had some bright ones, and I was like, I need to be a part of that. So I came home one day from school, and your mom's like with her little bell, and I'm like, can you braid my hair, put the beads in it? And she was like, yeah, we'll do it over the weekend. So she like put these cornrows, she did the little braids, put the beads, and I was so excited. So I go to school, and I got teased badly. And they were like, you're not Black. Why are you wearing and these were from the non-Black kids, you know what I mean? Right. And I just remember thinking, but this is so beautiful. Like, why am I being teased? And I remember going home and to your mom and crying. She probably doesn't even remember the story, but I remember it. I'm 42 and I was 5 years old when that happened. And this was probably like my first experience of like just of racial discrimination in a sense.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's even the right term for it, but absolutely. And I remember crying and telling your mom, like, they teased me and you have to take these braids out, and I'm gonna get teased again because they don't want me to wear it because I'm not Black. And she says, you're beautiful and you don't worry about what anyone else is saying. And your hair, do you love your hair? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, then you wear it tomorrow and you wear it for as long as you want to. You know what I mean? And it was just like she empowered me. And she made me feel like, you know what, I'm going to be judged and I'm going to get teased, but it's okay.
Yeah.
And it doesn't affect how I feel about myself. And until this day, I remember that.
Oh, shout out to Sandy.
Sandy.
Sandy. Awesome. Oh, she's going to love that. She is going to love that. Expect a call.
I would love
that. Call. That's the first time I ever heard that story. So I definitely appreciate you sharing that. That's beautiful.
I mean, it's not a big story. It wasn't a big thing, but it's just.
Yeah, but 5 years old, that's
5.
Deal, you know what I mean? And the fact that you remembered it, you know, that's a pivotal thing. And that just goes to show, like, we really got to shape up just because, you know, I mean, these things are so ingrained. You got kids doing it to other kids. And you remember that, you know, that obviously was a big moment of the time that should have never happened, you know?
It was traumatizing.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know why, but it was.
I mean, even when you're excited. Like 12, 13, being teased is like the end of the world, you know? So I can't imagine 5, especially being so excited to go and show everybody your new look. You know what I mean?
They were like, get out of here with that. You know? Like, what? This is awesome. What is wrong with you?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Liz. Thank you so much for being on the show. And you are definitely coming back. Definitely coming back. So we got to figure out a way to kind of, you know, loop you in.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me. It was fun.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
Keep doing a great job, Nina. Love you.
Love you too.
Bye. She's
awesome, right? She is awesome. She is awesome. I know she gave you some food for thought. So listen, guys, thank you so much for joining this week. I wanted to keep things a little shorter. You know, the last episode, there was part 1 and part 2. That's a dope episode. If you have not seen it, Lesbian Life Lessons. It's a 2-parter. Definitely very educational. If there's anything you want to know about, you know, your LGBTQA friends and family, definitely a cool episode to check out. And check out all the past episodes. If you like this one, if there was one that you saw and you're like, oh, that was a cool show, go back and check out the other ones. Let me know what you think. I'm always taking comments. If you have show ideas, you think there's something I should cover, email me, SpicyPecanPodcast@gmail.com. And show me some love on Instagram and Facebook. We're on there as well. Guys, thank you so much again. Be blessed.